So, there are some reports that came out that the Hawks are apparently open to trading John Collins. These reports came out more than a couple hours ago, but I'm just touching on them now. And so they're open to trading John Collins, and apparently they're in trade talks with two teams. I don't know if anything got too serious, but it looks like John Collins could be moved. Probably not today or tomorrow, but as we get closer to the trade deadline, or of course he could leave in free agency. He is a free agent this upcoming offseason, and that's where a lot of this is coming from. Whether the Hawks, how much money they want to give him, how much money Collins believes he's worth, and how much money the Hawks believe he's worth. He did turn down a 4-year, $90 million extension in the offseason, so I think he believes he can get more than that, and to be fair, I think he probably can. There's quite a few teams with cap space this offseason, and of course they're waiting for this free agency class that was once loaded with guys like Giannis and LeBron and a lot of other guys, and now really the only big guy is Kawhi, and only one team can get Kawhi. And if I had to bet Kawhi, I think he'd probably re-sign with the Clippers. So John Collins could certainly a possibility that he could get a max or a near max, but definitely more than the 4 years, $90 million. And whether the Hawks want to pay him that, it's an interesting question because the Hawks, they haven't been great this year. They haven't been terrible. They're 11-14, and they're getting expensive real fast. Obviously, they had a ton of free agency signings this offseason. Guys like Bogdanovic, Rondo, Gallinari. They traded for Capella at last year's trade deadline, so it'll be interesting to see whether they want to pay Collins, because obviously it seemed like him and Trey were the foundational pieces just last year or 2 years ago, and it's slowly looking like maybe Collins isn't a part of their future, which is a bit of a shame. This season, Collins, his numbers are still great. 18.5 points, 8 boards, on very good efficiency, 56% from the field, 40% from three, and 84% from the line. You can see why he's an attractive player for many teams, but those numbers are all down from last season, and he's shooting a bit less, and obviously that's to be expected with all their new acquisitions. But it'll be interesting to see what the Hawks are going to do with him this offseason. If we talk about Collins' skill set, he's a very good offensive player. Obviously finishing around the rim, he's very athletic, so it makes him a really great pick and roll partner. He can set a good screen, and then he's a great lob catcher, and we've seen him and Trae Young, connect on quite a few lobs throughout their tenure playing together. And that's one of his biggest strengths. And he's also a 40% three-point shooter. So when you're talking about a power forward who can finish at the rim and catch lobs, but also stretch the floor and shoot 40% from three, granted it's only on about 3.6 attempts a game, but still, he has to be respected from out there. That's a very attractive thing for many teams this offseason. And there are a lot of them that have cap space or have the opportunity to clear cap space. Defensively, obviously he's not great. That's probably the biggest downside with Collins, is he's not a great defender. He's not terrible, and he has improved a bit, but still not a great defender. But apart from that, he's a really good player offensively, and it's a bit of a shame because I really like the fit with this Hawks team, especially with Trae Young. Just them in pick and rolls. Obviously, they're not a great defensive duo, but offensively, with Trae's elite playmaking, and then with Collins having the ability to roll to the rim and catch lobs and benefit from a lot of Trae Young's strengths, it seemed like those two guys were going to be together for a long time, and they still can. And maybe the Hawks are moving a little bit too fast, and maybe they signed one or two too many free agents this offseason. And obviously, some of their free agents have struggled, like Rondo hasn't been great. They have been hit with a few injuries, and it's sort of stunted the development of a few of the young guys, especially Cam Reddish. Reddish is not playing well this season or in the last couple of games. he just kind of looks a bit lost out there, making bad passes, not shooting well. Obviously, that'll improve, but he has not been great recently. And, you wonder whether them signing so many more experienced players and them having the expectations to be at least a play-in team has weighed on a few of the young guys. Hunter is playing well this season. So is Herder, but we'll have to see with that one. But so if Collins does become a free agent and they don't move him before the deadline, because that is a possibility, the Hawks could obviously just re-sign him. They have the opportunity to match any offer, but that would be getting them very expensive. Gallinari's like $20 million a year. Bogdanovic is high teens. Trae Young's max is coming up this offseason. And then guys like Hunter and Herder and Reddish, they're going to be getting paid soonish. They also have Capella, who's on $20+ million, I believe. Rondo is like $7 million a year. They're becoming pretty expensive, and whether the Hawks ownership want to front that bill for a team that isn't competing for a championship, we'll have to see. So if they were to re-sign Collins, that would limit any future moves, really, and that would just sort of be the Hawks. And this Hawks team still can be pretty decent, obviously with Trae Young, and then they would have Collins and Capella, who's been very good this season, and that is still a good team. But you wonder whether it's a good enough team to have one of the highest payrolls in the league. But if Collins were to become a free agent, they could re-sign him, first of all, but they could also let him walk. And, the teams that are interested in Collins could be similar teams that were interested in Giannis. They play the same position, obviously very different players, and one is way better than the other. But teams like the Raptors or the Heat have been rumored, and, you never know. As for what team would be the best fit with Collins, I think, a team similar to the Hawks, funnily enough, but any team with a playmaking guard who can throw lobs for Collins, but maybe more of a defensive-oriented team who could compensate for Collins' defensive weakness. And then they could also orchestrate a sign and trade, though I don't know how interested the Hawks would be in that and what they'd be getting back. But anyways, just to sum up, Collins requested... No, he hasn't requested a trade. The Hawks are open to trading John Collins. He's a free agent this offseason, and we'll just have to see what happens. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.